You're listening to Second Cut. This is the weekly podcast where we talk about topics in film theory, criticism, history, etc., because it's fun to do. I'm Kieran, trapped in Jacob's body, and I'm the one who looks like the Crypt Keeper.
I'm Jacob, trapped in Sam's body, and I'm coming up with creative things to do with wine bottles other than drinking them.
I am Sam, trapped in Kieran's body, and I'm the one that needs somebody else to dub over my guitar solos for me.
Yes. Wait, is that in your name?
No, it's in Freaky Friday, which is Sam's film. So
oh gosh.
Like,
yeah, we didn't take this swapping to the nth degree, did we? Really?
Hang on. Okay, then I'm Kieran, trapped in Jacob's body, and I'm the one writing Japanese on my hand as a reminder to neither of us who doesn't speak Japanese.
That's a good idea, actually. Make sure to get right person in body swap. Right. Okay.
Oh, and wow, we're back. I'm Jacob again. Crazy.
Earthquake.
I wanted to keep that bit up through the whole show, but no, Sam poo-pooed.
You'd have forgotten halfway through.
I'll just say
some of us have been at work. Some of us have been at work all day and we're tired.
I was going to say, some of us have to go to work and pretend to be somebody they're not as it is. So
I think I could remember a Kieran anecdote that would apply to whatever that I've heard.
I only have about 10 in constant rotation, okay? I have 10 and they apply for all circumstances. You know, I've just made sure they're universal.
Something about the time Walter Murch invented voiceover.
Did not invent voiceover. What the hell are you doing? Invented the term sound design.
That's it. Invented the term sound design.
He's the one that done most of the stuff in your favorite movies, Jacob. Like,
yes.
You're the Coppola person here. And
then also the time that I met, not Mario, but his son. I met him at a conference or my school. Anyway, we're doing body swap movies. That's the reason for this extended, not funny bit. And we did that because Sam has been watching body swap movies recently. He decided to watch Freaky Friday and the sequel Freakier Friday.
Yeah, for some reason in my 34 years, nearly 35 years on this earth, I've never got around to watching Freaky Friday. I suppose makes us. I've only had half of that time to actually watch it, but yeah, all the times it's been available for me to watch, it's just passed me by. It's one of those classics I never got to, and I really enjoyed it. And then I watched the sequel straight after, and I was really disappointed.
Was it much of a phenomenon in the UK?
I think people likes it. Yeah, I think it's a popular movie. I think a lot of people have seen it. A lot of people my age have seen it, but yeah, just never got to it for whatever reason.
I would think the other Lindsay Lohan, Parent Trap, would be a little bit bigger since she's British in that movie.
Yeah, haven't seen that either.
Yeah, somehow it's not.
Yeah, Kieran, we lost the last half of your joke. Somehow it's not is all we got.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Oh well. But yeah, so we're doing body swap movies, and one of them is Freaky Friday. Kieran didn't find, maybe already knew about an anime one, and
I knew the film, but I hadn't seen it.
Yeah.
And how was Freaky not called Freaky Friday the 13th? Was it like a copyright thing?
It was originally suggested to be that. I mean, we'll come on to it more. But I think the original title suggestions, first they wanted to call it Killer Body, then they wanted to call it Freaky Friday the 13th, and then they shortened that to Freaky. I don't know whether they were forced to do that by lawyers or whether they just changed their mind, but yeah, that's how it happened.
Heads up my stuff, which is good.
Yeah.
There was, instead of Killer Body, there was a slasher movie a couple of years ago called Killer Body Count. So it came after this, after Freaky, but they did go for Killer Body and changed it to Killer Body Count. Slasher at send a load of like Christian kids who are apparently misbehaving to a camp, whatever, and then have somebody kill them all off. From what I remember, it's not good.
I'm surprised it did take until like 2020 for there to be a slasher version of Freaky Friday.
It's Christopher Landon, man. It's Christopher Landon's influence. Like, we know how this works now.
The earliest body swap movie I could find was 1916's Vice Versa, which apparently stars Charles Rock, who, I mean, he's white, but I'm imagining him as very fancy Chris Rock with a monocle and a very proper British accent.
Wow.
Although it's a silent film, so it's very proper mannerisms, I guess.
Well, you could do accent in the intertitles phonetically.
Yeah.
I was going to say, it looks like there's been several versions.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Freaky Friday was originally it was a book and then adapted it by Disney as a 1976 film with Jodie Foster, and so body swap movies also just keep getting remade too. It's apparently hard to come up with an original version of it.
Yeah,
I was going to say the Freaky Friday is like the fourth.
Yeah. And there's like several versions of, is it 13 going on 30? I think they've remade that as well. But yeah, there's a few that just do the rounds over the years. But it's always an entertaining concept because basically you get usually two people swapping. I think if you do it with more people than that, then it gets too confusing. Unless you do like Jumanji, where they're just inhabiting like bodies that are just very different to the regular ones, and like in the sequel they kind of do a bit more swapping around and stuff, but you can't keep track of that. But it's can be a bit confusing if you push that too far. But generally you get two good actors working very closely together and adopting each other's mannerisms, so it's like it's a good show for their respective talents and onward.
And you do get moments when you get it like moments in particular scenes. For some reason, I'm thinking of Deathly Hallows Part 2, where they're breaking into Gringotts, and you've got Helena Bonham Carter
with
acting as pretending to be Hermione Granger, acting as Bellatrix. It's just a very kind of that is skill right there. I'm sorry, I mean, we'll the Mickey out of the Potter movies as much as we can, and with Rowling and that, but some of the moments in. Yes, that is probably like one of my favorite Bonham Carter moments. So good. My question for you is: at what point does it become possession? As in, like, ghostly possession, demonic possession. What is the difference at a certain point?
Yeah, I mean, we did Possessor the other week. I mean, is that a body swap movie?
Yep. I was thinking of this. Sorry, go ahead.
When you Google body swap movies, like, you come up with things that I don't know would count, like 17 again, which, I mean, that's the same guy being 17. Kieran, you brought up Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, like, kind of is body swap.
And you have like a Big as well, don't you? Which again is like a kid in an adult body, but there is just an older version of his body, just the same, isn't it? So he's not. It's like there's not an adult wandering around in a kid's body. It's not like a two-way streak there.
9 Lives, where Kevin Spacey becomes a cat. Like, I don't think the cat wanders around as him.
I want to see that movie now. Just. I know, I know we shouldn't really be, endorsing Kevin Spacey to get some more work, but I'm just picturing him just sitting on a counter cleaning himself. Just like, God.
You know what? As much as that'd be funny, I also don't want to see that.
No.
I think me and Sam will. The thing is, you get it really well. I mean, normally it's played for laughs because it's such a right place for comedy of mistaken identity. I'm thinking Shakespeare, Two Gentlemen of Verona, and all the kind of various escapades that you get in Shakespeare characters, Shakespeare plays of one character being mistaken for another. One of the funniest ones is probably, Sam will agree with me, the very actually underrated Doctor Who episode, New Earth. where you've got Cassandra inhabiting Rose and the Doctor's body and switching back and forth. And it's kind of body swap, but it's like kind of like switching possession, and it's
and it's like Billie Piper, adopting like an upper class accent for a bit until she's pretending she wants to fool people into being Rose again, and then she really exaggerates the cockneyness of it.
It's like Rose having Billie Piper pretending to be Zoe Wanamaker for a few minutes, and then switching back, and then David Tennant having to pretend to be Zoe Wanamaker. It's just it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And
more Harry Potter references in there.
In that like 17 again mold is gosh, which one is it? Like the hot chick or I Feel Pretty, where it's the same person but just their appearance has kind of changed and they're reacted to differently. Because like, Rob Schneider is a hot chick instead of Rob Schneider.
And I think it works for film because it is a great visual thing. I mean, yes, you can do it in literature, in prose, but the kind of the kind of visual reactions, I mean, you get it in kind of all three of these films that we're going to do. Kind of the initial sort of, waking up and discovering oneself. You can do the reveals in such a visual way, in a fun way, and the switching over, and you can do things on screen, which you can play things out at the same time. You can do split screens. You can do stuff like that works very visually. Whereas in prose, it kind of, you do have obviously kind of the questions of doubles, which is kind of similar but different again.
That's
stuff like
Trap.
I'm thinking of Edgar Allan Poe had a story, William. Is it William Williams? Something like that, where kind of you come across like an alter ego and those sorts of things. But I think the specific swap, unless you're playing it for suspense in a sort of face-off kind of style, which is one of the ones we could have done, but we'd already done face-off probably in the midst of time. Please go check it out. Obviously, let's plug our own stuff. Unless it's something like that, where it's kind of built up for suspense, or like a Dean Koontz thriller sort of thing. So you're playing it for an awful lot of comedy, which a lot of these, I mean, two of these films are comedy, and Your Name kind of has elements of that in the beginning before it takes a turn. It's so visual and fun that you can have these kind of comedic moments, because that's what would be happening. It is a kind of almost an uncanny situation where the line between horror and comedy is so very close that you laugh it off in an uncomfortable and awkward situation.
And the mechanics of the thing doesn't matter one jot, really, does it? It's like it's the least important part of the body of swap aspect, how it happens. Who cares? Let's just get to the point where they've got two actors doing impressions of each other.
And I think it even, like, I mean, with the animated film, the anime film Your Name, it's slightly different. But if you've got body swap films, you're gonna get two well-known actors as well. I think that's part of the draw, is seeing two people that play each other. If there were two unknown actors doing it, it's like it's just two people pretending to be each other. But I think these films kind of, especially Freaky Friday, to a certain extent, Freaky as well, with Vince Vaughn. It's the you understand them as star figures. It's the star power of them and their personas. So it's not like mother and the daughter swapping in Freaky Friday. It's Lindsay Lohan and Jamie Lee Curtis swapping.
Yeah. Which is very much what like Face Off is too. It's Travolta and Cage and their big personas.
It's them swapping, and you have to go, oh, okay, it's these films draw on star power, and it's one of the rare times where I think you watch something and you kind of, I remember Tarantino going, oh, the movie star, Marvel and stuff like that, and I go, on the body swap movie, I think that's the one is the kind of the whole point. You kind of don't care about the character, you care about the performance of the actors.
I mean, what I really enjoyed when I watched it last year, it's not technically a body swap, but it definitely shares certain elements of that kind of genre. And it was Aubrey Plaza in My Old Ass, where basically she meets a younger version of her character meets a middle-aged version of herself, like Cat's never explained, but she just suddenly appears to her, and they have a few conversations basically. Or replies obviously playing the older version of the character, and it's just them kind of sharing life experiences and kind of thinking, oh, does life get any better than this? What have I got to look forward to? And it's basically, there is definitely an element of, though the two actors, or I can't remember who plays the younger version of the characters, but though they don't really look that alike, they do share mannerisms in their performance. You can kind of believe that it is the same person at different points of their kind of timeline. And it is those how creative you are with coming up with those interactions, and how the two different people in these kind of weird situations would react differently. It's interesting.
And again, it's not exactly a body swap, but obviously the substance from last year as well still has those moments in it. Because it's like, well, are they the same person? Are they not the same person? They're different personas, but they are the same person in a weird way, like Doctor Who in a certain way. When you get these kind of two doctors meeting up together, it's like, are they the same person? Are they not? What happens? Are they the same body? And these kind of elements. It's a very interesting look at one of the things that these films kind of lightly touch on, but kind of don't really go into philosophically, is the idea of identity and what makes an identity. Is the soul? Is it the memory and stuff like that? It's not just the body, and this obviously can and probably has done. I haven't done the research in it. People will do into kind of trans allegories and things along those lines. I remember that Switch in the Matrix was meant to change genders when they go from the real world to the Matrix, and they got rid of that because it's like, this is going to be too confusing as it is. Let's just keep it simple. Obviously, there's very much kind of be trans allegories, body image allegories, and stuff like that. And I'm fairly sure people will have already done essays on probably how all these things kind of absolutely ruin the idea of body image, and we should ban these movies absolutely, and blah blah and all of the walls. So even though we're going to talk about kind of films from a slightly kind of more film critic point of view, there is plenty of grounds for looking at these in allegorical ways, in kind of academic ways, and ways that they view identity, that you view kind of persona in a weird way of even the soul and the spirit. There's got to be something inside which is kind of not physical form, because it's has moved, which is where we think all the memories and things are stored like that. So it is something else. Therefore, in order to do that, you kind of have to believe in some kind of thing which allows the two things to swap.
Well, Kieran, mentioning that these movies don't often get into the philosophy of it, so many of them are just like pop movies. Where you're like, body swap is a narrative device, not really a genre, and you could put it into anything, like Con Air with body swap, like you could do that.
But you can also use it as a device to explore more profound kind of ideas, if you want to. I mean, some cultures, more commonly refer to these kind of stories as like soul swap, stories, rather than like body swap. Literally, it's like the essence of who a person is, in like another. Another forms. They're like the usual one. Just because again, you get into like. You can go around in circles if like thinking too much about the mechanics of it. But is it just the person's memories and thoughts in another form, or is it literally the whole everything that makes up the person who they are, in someone inhabiting someone else's? And I suppose that's why you have to have the swap, really, because you got to have a place for the other person's soul to go while their body's been inhabited, or else. Could you have one with like two in one body? Would that go wrong? Would that be a?
Well, that's Possessor.
Yeah.
I'm also thinking of the Blade Runner 2049, where you get a hologram of somebody else to kind of be the physical embodiment of her, and it's like, does this count as body swapping? Is inhabiting that body?
Which is a kind of a really kind of creepy, but at the same time strangely kind of beautiful image. How they actually realize that it's kind of with like the hologram layered over like an actual body, and the body being a surrogate for like the physical interaction.
Isn't that in Solo too? Doesn't like the robot like go into the Millennium Falcon or something like
Oh
that?
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I think I and I tried
And,
to not watch the rest.
and that explains why the Millennium Falcon's computer is a bit of a diva in the original trilogy.
I will also say the idea of the Millennium Falcons are therefore they have Earth birds in the other parts of the galaxy. Just saying.
Yeah. That is funny. How do they know about that?
Yeah. Well, it's literally Earth
The dogs or
Earth snakes and literally Earth snakes and Earth lizards on Yoda's planet. So
Yeah.
but this is it was obviously a long time ago. Anyway, we're going off track here.
Yeah.
Well, we'll go ahead and get into Freaky Friday, which, you know, obviously mentioned earlier, far from the first film like this, but I think for, you know, people around our age, this is the cultural touchstone for body swapping. I read an article from it was the Liverpool something that was talking about I watched Freaky Friday again as an adult and it freaked me out. Because of like the age of Chad Michael Murray's character and the age of Lindsay Lohan's. And I found a BuzzFeed one too that was I'm an adult and I watched this kids movie. Like that is the primary way apparently that people like to write about this movie. It is very much a kids movie, and I watched it, you know, at the time I was a kid, and you know it's awesome when you're a child. But yeah, then you watch it again as an adult, and like, you know, it's good, but like it's just a popcorn kids movie, and that's all it is. It's fun. It does not get too deep into the thematic side of things.
Yeah, I was going to say it's. I must probably had watched it all together at points, but in kind of like 10 kind of sections. So there are bits I recognize and bits of like I'm fairly sure I haven't seen this all the way through. So watching it through this time, I classed this as my first watch because it's like seeing clips before. And like, oh yeah, I recognize that. Do I know? So yeah, it is slightly bizarre watching this as an adult now, and you go. People keep saying it's sort of, you know, this is the kind of film where as a child you kind of empathize with Lindsay Lohan and you realize you're growing up when you empathize more with Jamie Lee Curtis.
Oh yeah.
You know, and the children are being absolute brats. It's just like, what the hell is going on?
But whenever, you know, this kind of thing is used in a story, people go, oh, it's a Freaky Friday thing. It's
again, despite the fact this is like the fourth film version of Freaky Friday.
Yeah, the 76 version with Jodie Foster, the way they change is just they wish at the same time to change bodies, and then it happens. That's it.
And in that version, they don't actually have any interaction, do they? They just live their own separate days, you know, in each other's bodies, but they don't realize that's happened to each other. Whereas I think this take on it, where they're actually constantly interacting and having to, you know, deal with the consequences of the mistakes they make is much more interesting. And I think the author of the book, you know, both versions are based on. I think she much preferred this newer version. She said it was a better take on her material, you know, for her money. So
I didn't watch I just read about the mechanism. That's all I was interested in for that one. For the 95 TV version, which Disney put on ABC. I think they got amulets. They switched via a magic amulet. And I, you know, it might have had the interaction. I couldn't tell you. Again, it's a crappy TV version.
I mean, it's interesting how many. Again, this is kind of the trashier elements of the genre, isn't it? It's amazing how many times the switch happens through cultural appropriation. You know, it can be a convenient relic from another culture.
Yeah. Well, so that brings us to the 2003 version, which we.
You do realize, by the way, the next version of Freaky Friday in like 10 years' time is going to be via an app.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're both in the cloud somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's you opt in. You could choose somebody to swap bodies with. You like swipe right on it.
Yeah, and like at some point, one of them souls get trapped in the Gridtron style. That would be a much better thing. Like if like somebody possesses the body and then the rest is like in Tron, you have to escape like that. Sort of like Get Out meets Tron. I'd watch that. Just saying.
Oh, yeah, Get Out. That's another technically body swap movie, but not really.
Tempted, yeah.
Because, like, yeah, this sort of sets up the quintessential idea of what a body swap or soul swap is, where you have two people, they switch to which one they are, and in this case, it's mother and daughter, Lindsay Lohan and Jamie Lee Curtis. Lindsay Lohan is in a band, and she's a angsty teenager. She has blonde streaks in her red hair that, I mean, I'm still a big fan of that, even though aesthetically it is terrible.
Very 2000s, like.
Yeah. She dresses like Avril Lavigne.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Had she done Skater Boy at that point?
Like,
Skater Boy like 2001, something like that.
It was around maybe a little bit before. Yeah.
That's a great call out. It's very much like, let's copy Avril Lavigne for this movie.
And just obviously to say, this is like the second film in about 5 weeks following Scott Pilgrim, where the main character's in a band and there has to be a big band play kind of at the end. Just saying.
Yeah. They're Anna and Tess. Those are the names, the daughter and mom. So yeah, Anna's the angsty musician, and Tess is the overworked mom she's getting remarried after the passing of her kid's father and her husband. And then she's got the annoying little brother, and grandpa shows up too for all the wedding stuff. And pretty much what they do is they have to swap bodies and live in each other's shoes for a little while to discover that they really are miscommunicating, and they need to have more empathy for each other, and especially when it comes to the remarrying, because Lindsay Lohan, Anna, has not connected with her future stepfather in a big way, and a lot of it's about like that family connection stuff ultimately.
And they're both still grieving as well, aren't they? Not really talking to each other well about it, not supporting each other, and being open about that facts, and they're both dealing with it in a variety of unhealthy ways, essentially.
We mentioned the cultural appropriation, and yes, that is how this happens. I don't know what anybody thought of, well, we're going to send them to a Chinese restaurant and have them change through a magic Chinese lady with fortune cookies.
Despite the fact that fortune cookies are not Chinese, just saying.
Yeah, like I want to know, like, the person writing that, were they like, I mean, yeah, we're going to be inclusive. We're going to have, Chinese people in it. It's going to be great. But no, yeah, it just comes off now as like, yeah, Chinese people are magic, and we'll use their ancient wisdom to, I don't know, solve these family issues.
Yeah, and in the sequel, they go back to that Chinese restaurant, and the mum and the daughter are still there, but they don't cause the switch this time. That it's like a hired white kind of fortune teller, casts a spell this time. So yeah, it's I think that they're just running that hard away from appearing culturally insensitive again. They says, "Oh, we'll just get a random white lady in to do the same thing in the same location," but we can't. It's not as culturally offensive anymore because it's just random fortune teller doing this.
The beginning of it, Lindsay Lohan, she wants to play her music in the garage, but boy, it sure is loud, and man, that's just classic comedy. It's the things like that, people running around with underwear on their head and reading the sister's diary, and grandpa not being able to hear people. Like it's a bunch of really cheap jokes in the beginning. But yeah, then stepdad's like, well, let's all go get Chinese food so that magic can happen. And so here is, I don't remember if this happens in Freaky, so Sam, you'll have to touch on that. But an important aspect of these films, from what I could see, is when you enter a woman's body, you need to touch the breasts.
Yeah. Yeah. He does that in Freaky as well.
Okay, he also does that.
And in Your Name, yep.
I remember it in Your Name. In Freaky, like clearly that's not the priority for Vince Vaughn's character, but in this movie, the joke is, well, I'm old, so this feels weird that my body is nice. That this butt is not mine.
Yeah.
And then Jamie Lee Curtis is passed out, and they can't wake her up, so they got to go wake her up because she's a teenager and sleeps a lot.
I think Mom's dead.
No, her heart's beating. Go eat her cereal, my cereal. And yeah, that is when the actual fun starts. It does get funnier as an adult once they switch bodies. And they're both really good in this movie. I don't think Lindsay Lohan is like the best actor in the world, but like she has played, when in Parent Trap, she has to play a precocious little British girl who sounds smart. So I think she puts on the adult affectation really well in this movie.
Yeah.
And Jamie Lee Curtis, I mean, also, like, she is really good at acting like an angsty teenager who is in love with my second week in a row of a movie with a character named Jake, played by Chad Michael Murray, with long hair, just looking great right before he had to cut it all off for One Tree Hill. And man, he is very much the stereotypical early 2000s hot guy who's into music. But one thing I picked up, yes. He loves all kinds of things. One thing that's interesting about that Britney Spears cover, though, Jake calls it a classic. He says, "Oh, this cover's classic." That Bowling for Soup cover came out the same year as this movie. It is not a classic.
I mean, Jamie Lee Curtis, she's just clearly having just the time of her life, this performance, and I think it'd be so easy to overplay it, to be really kind of stereotypical stroppy teenager, but I think she pitches it about right. She has fun, poking fun at some of the mannerisms and kind of turns of phrase and stuff. But yeah, you kind of buy it, kind of it's it kind of works on a character level.
It works, like, especially with the Jake stuff, because he does end up falling in love with Jamie Lee Curtis, and he doesn't hold the boombox, but he kind of doesn't say anything by singing to her through the window. He falls in love with the mom. Oh yeah, real bad. But and
in the sequel, he comes back and he's still in love with Jamie Lee Curtis, even though she's 70 now. Which is not good for her.
That's fine. Let's be honest, who wouldn't be in love with Jamie Lee Curtis? Who is not in love with Jamie Lee Curtis, just in general? Like Jamie Lee Curtis.
She gosh, I hate to just take every trope that's going to come up here, which, by the way, if you go to TV tropes, their cultural touchstone is the Freaky Friday flip for this kind of stuff. They also have to try and run into each other to switch back, which is funny. I think that happens in another one I've seen too. Maybe The Switch Up, which is Jason Bateman and Ryan Reynolds. I don't know.
Yeah, because in this, that's clearly a reference to another film that exists within this universe as well, because they've seen it and said, well, obviously they try it, they bash their heads, and they both say, we thought that might have worked,
The other thing that you have to do in a body swap movie is get a makeover. Jamie Lee Curtis, she wants to dress very proper. She brushed out all of Lindsay Lohan's rats in her hair, puts the hair up in a bun. She wants to look very professional. And when Jamie Lee Curtis first walks in as Anna in her mom's body, I have to use the actresses' names because otherwise it gets too confusing. She has like some black thing tied around her arm. She's in a tank top. But then she goes and cuts her hair, gets piercings, buys a bunch of fancy clothes on her credit card, before then having to go be a therapist to the gay best friend from Sex and the City, who is just a very a very clingy patient who just every little aspect of Lindsay Lohan's terrible therapizing sets off one of his numerous neuroses. And he's pretty funny. I like his performance in this.
Yeah. Yeah, and you've got Steve Tobolowsky as well, haven't you? As a teacher from hell, again, it's a lot of fun. It's always good value for money.
And
we've all had a teacher from hell.
Yeah.
Hopefully Kieran's not that for some child out there. I'd like to think he's the opposite, the fun teacher. But he's very kawaii.
Kawaii.
Yeah.
So she has to go to work, and that's her side of it. She realizes, oh, my mom's job is really hard. She can't kiss the future husband, stepfather, because that would be weird. She gets put on a TV show where she is very animated and trying to talk about a book that she did not write and has not read and has no knowledge of, which is a really funny scene. And on the flip side, Jamie Lee Curtis in Lindsay Lohan's body is dealing with the teacher from hell. But we get background. It turns out that he asked Jamie Lee Curtis out in high school, and she denied him. And so now he's punishing her daughter for it, even though, well, I guess Lindsay Lohan is not smart, but
turns out Jamie Lee Curtis would have rather gone out with Ben Tramer. Sorry, holy joke.
Yeah, because so it's like English class, isn't it? They're doing Shakespeare and Jamie, because I asked this how much my favorite know about it, so and she gives like a really verbose kind of well-informed answer, and it's just completely shoots her down, and she kind of realizes, oh, my daughter hasn't been lying all this time. He really does have it in for her.
And
I'm not that bad.
The big conflict is Lindsay Lohan's rocker friends want her to skip the wedding rehearsal to go play a House of Blues, like, I don't know, rock
audition.
Audition. I don't know what they're getting out of it. If it's like
it's like a rock competition sort of thing. If you win, you get to play kind of opening night, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I know it's hosted by a radio station, Kiss FM, but I really don't know what the stakes are. Like, do you just get to open for somebody? Do you get a record contract? I don't know. But what's weird is they do have some. So they go to the wedding rehearsal where they really get into each other's perspective because of the stepfather being like, oh, I care about Lindsay Lohan and I want her to play her rock music, so go do that. And so finally that brings everybody together, and they go to the show, and Lindsay Lohan, who is inhabited by Jamie Lee Curtis, cannot play guitar, and so she tries and it sounds bad. She just kind of stands there frozen before Lindsay Lohan in Jamie Lee Curtis's body shows up to rock the solo from backstage, which nobody notices in the band.
No.
Yeah, but because Jamie Lee Curtis as Lindsay Lohan is still miming really badly up front.
Yeah.
It's not even close to what she should be doing.
And they still have somebody walk up to them and say, oh, you'll be hearing from us. And it's like, why? She blew the majority of the performance. All you could hear is the bass and the rhythm guitar, and that's it.
Because plot reasons.
Yeah, because it's a kids' movie, so nobody really cares that much. And yeah,
also, it's
really
like the guitar that Jamie Lee Curtis is playing, like at the back, would not be hooked onto the same amps and therefore going in the same direction, like, because there's only one cable coming from it, and that's the one that Lindsay Lohan's got going into that amp. Unless they've suddenly magically swapped it out, or they're coming through different speakers. Which, if you've got a major setup, maybe, but like a Battle of the Bands sort of setup, no, you probably brought the amps yourself, like the ones you have in your garage.
Kieran, maybe the amps were produced in China, and so like they, I don't know, have like fortune cookies in them. They swap sound output.
Amp swap, guitar swap.
Yeah, but then, Lindsay Lohan in Jamie Lee Curtis gives a big speech about whatever, the importance of she turns into Vin Diesel. It is a touching speech, and
Family.
they swap bodies. And by the way, the visual mechanism for swapping bodies is just shaky camera and them going.
There is no
"Whoa."
visual mechanism. It's you have to do like sort of Star Trek. We've been hit.
It's
on
literally like
this.
that, isn't it? Yeah.
I do. By the way, fun fact: I do believe that on Star Trek they've eventually created sort of like when they get told to shake, there's like a scale, and it's like it's about a 7, and they know how much to act from it. So on this, I think there's probably about a 5 on the Star Trek shake.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
sort of it's okay, but it's not massively intense. There aren't things like falling off, roof tiles, stuff like that.
You can tell it's a kids movie because nobody was like, we really need to, get into the interiority, have like a really complex, visual way to communicate that they're switching. No, it's really lame. And that's like the biggest missed opportunity. Like, yeah, I know most of it's going to be very standard. It's a Disney, it is a production going to theaters, and it made pretty good money, but it just
very good money.
Yeah.
And they sequel bait with the same thing happening to the brother and the grandpa, don't they? But obviously they never pick up on that, in the sequels.
Because they go to, well, I guess grandpa's dead by the the sequel, but they go to the wedding at the very end where they play, what is it? What I like about it, is that what it is? I forget what they play. They play a popular song, which
they're all covers of the songs.
I will just say that Pink Slip is a great name for a punk band. Just saying.
It is. Yeah.
You're red. You're the old. It's that song, which I don't know the name of, but yeah, they also have like a Simple Plan cover of a song. It's all very
Theme tune for What's New Scooby Doo.
Yeah, very much of the era in terms of the music and who they're trying to appeal to.
Early noughties pop punk, like.
But it's at the wedding. She's dancing with Jake finally, and Jamie Lee Curtis and stepdad from NCIS are together, and the brother sees a little girl and is like, "Ooh, whatever." And then Grandpa's like, "You should go get some." Yeah, that's where they tease it. And then Chinese daughter is like, "No, Chinese mom, we're not doing that." So,
cultural appropriation returns.
Is the brother in the sequel?
Yes.
He gets a cameo. So he's in like one scene, I think.
A non-speaking appearance, probably. I think it's non-speaking at least.
Now the film, it's not really like touching on anything major, but there is something to like women's gender roles in the early 2000s. Jamie Lee Curtis as a working single mother. We don't delve much into the stepfather at all. He's just like a nice guy who wants the best for the family that he's blending into, and he's very idealized in that sense. And
he's a plot device. He's not important. We're kind of pretty much everybody aside from Lindsay Lohan and Jamie Lee Curtis are kind of plot devices in order to accentuate the hilarity and eventual kind of reconciliation and heartwarming message speech for those characters. Everyone else is just kind of functionary.
And I do totally get, he's upset seeing his fiance on the back of a motorcycle, but like it would have been cool if he was like, go ride on the back of someone's motorcycle. I really don't care at all. I love you anyway. But there's that.
Probably did worse on the hen night or whatever it was, the bachelorette party. I think it is in the US, isn't it?
But Jamie Lee Curtis on the back of the Ducati with Chad Michael Murray it's really funny.
It is a Ducati.
Drapes over a guy almost young enough to be her son.
He says on a Harley, and she said it's a Ducati.
Yeah.
that delivery is so good for Jamie Lee Curtis. She's great. But it's a shame that it is a kids movie, so it can't get more into like consciously the roles of women and stuff like that. But it is there. It's just not super deep because it's a Disney movie for kids, made to make lots of money.
Yeah, and the sequel, which came out this year, it's kind of more of the same, really, but just a different dynamics. It's another, the family's further extended, further blended. With Lindsay Lohan's upcoming marriage and her new stepdaughter, along with her own daughter. But that just gets really irritating because it's 4 characters switching, and it's just so hard to keep track of who's who and at a given moment,
especially as it's kind of the actresses playing somebody else playing them, which is fine when you've got 2 people, but then you've got 4 and they're in like 3 different locations, and
it just doesn't work at all.
Do they switch into one body, or are they switching like over and over?
So Lindsay Lohan and her daughter switch, but also Jamie Lee Curtis and the soon-to-be stepdaughter switch as well.
Yeah.
So it's just really hard to keep track of who's who at any given point.
Yes. So you got Lindsay Lohan playing 16 again, even though she's in her late 30s, and her daughter playing late 30s Lindsay Lohan, and then Jamie Lee Curtis playing a 16-year-old again, but a British 16-year-old this time. So she doesn't really do the accent, but she just slips in like British turns of phrases.
She says the word smashing a few times,
Okay.
Yes.
Do you know how many people in Britain say smashing? Nobody.
Okay, none of them.
Unless you're possibly 75.
Capital. So why do the stepdaughter and Jamie Lee Curtis switch? Like, what's the point of that?
Because
they decided double the trouble. The freaky and the Friday.
We've got this many characters to deal with. I can't remember whether they really explain why it's a 4-way switch, because it's the daughter and the stepdaughter who are cursed, isn't it? But so why they is it because they're all going through difficult family stuff? I don't know.
Interesting.
I wasn't paying attention. It doesn't really work.
What is the stepdaughter learning by walking a mile in grandma's shoes? I don't know, but
family values.
What are Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan getting out of doing this again? I mean, I haven't watched the movie, so I'll have to watch it now, I guess.
Yeah, the best scene I think in that from what I can remember is the reconnection between Lindsay Lohan and Chad Michael Murray. He's still in that record store, which they go back to, of course.
They still bring in Britney Spears,
Yeah, and they're trying to. So it's the teenage daughter in Lindsay Lohan's body trying to act flirtatious and doing a really poor job. But it's just a great bit of physical comedy from Lindsay Lohan, basically just writhing like over a table covered in records.
By the way,
you do get moments in it. It's just a mess.
Something I picked up on this time. I can't tell if Chad Michael Murray works at the school or goes to the school. It's not clear. He says I need to get to my other job at the school, so I think he works there.
Yeah.
From what I could Google, he's about 18 in this movie.
Yes. So he's 2-3 years older than Lindsay Lohan is then.
Yeah, but is he a senior? Does he work there? I don't know. He does work at the coffee shop, but
yeah. Has he got a part-time job there while he finishes, his studies, or has he been kept back, or God knows?
But like Kieran says, plot device doesn't matter.
Wikipedia says infatuation with a classmate named Jake Austen.
Okay.
Interesting.
All right, so.
Well, and the Liverpool,
this is Wikipedia, so.
The Liverpool article I read was the one that had me questioning, because it said he works at the school. And I thought, well, yeah, it doesn't show his other job. It shows the coffee shop, and he says I need to get to my other job at the school. So like, I don't know if he's working as some kind of aide or tutor, and that's why they met in detention. I don't know. He shouldn't be dating a student if he works at the school, but I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's a dumb movie.
Yeah. And you also have that nice dig at kind of therapy and kind of like stereotypical like therapist questions and stuff. Jamie Curtis just saying to Lindsay Lohan, like, yeah, you've got to go to work, but don't ruin anything for me. Just ask everyone how they feel every time they tell you something.
Oh, yeah, because that would be an ethical violation otherwise.
Yeah,
But yeah, there's probably, if you wanted to read deeper into this, there's got to be something about like Eastern tradition balancing out Western medicine. I mean, who knows?
No, don't even bother trying to come up with that. It's not there.
Yeah, well, there is something, because she's a therapist and clearly, has not worked out these relationship issues, and they need, some Chinese magic to fix it. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Freaky.
All right.
The spiritual sequel to this movie.
Yeah. So 15, 16 years later, 17 years later, 17 years later. Along came Christopher Landon to do a horror, kind of a horror reinterpretation of the same concept, essentially. So
would you like me to do what I did with Possessor and read out, because this was in my top 15 horror films of the 2020s to 2024s in the film magazine where we actually have, which I think you can still possibly buy from the film magazine. There you go. Jacob's got his copy as well.
Mine's over there somewhere.
We all got it out. So in one of the paragraphs, I'll put Christopher Landon is the modern American master of this kind of switching up kind of a slasher with a previous thing.
I wondered why I get this conflated with Happy Death Day, and knowing he directed that explains that to me.
It started off with the two Happy Death Day movies that riff on Groundhog Day, and following up with one of the best recent horror comedies, Freaky, a violent take on the 1976 and 2003 classics, Freaky Friday. The plot is simple: a serial killer and a high school teen swap bodies. Let the madness begin.
Yeah.
Which is literally it.
Pretty much, yeah. And the inciting incident here is there's a cursed dagger. It's like an Aztec artifact or something along those lines. Or
cultural appropriation returns
with Spanish words on it. The Aztec weren't Spanish.
Yeah, no. So it was like a dagger of a conquistador. Then it was kind of discovered. Or
it was obviously like kind of the dagger that also belonged to Cortez. From like Pirates of the Caribbean. Somewhere else.
Yeah. But basically, so you got an introverted high school swapping places with a hulking serial killer. And her and her friends have got to work out how to break the curse within 24 hours, because, of course, you've got to have a time limit to these kind of things. No particular reason, just give them a ticking clock, add the tension.
By the way, speaking of hulking, Vince Vaughn definitely has a Jason and Frankenstein physique.
Yeah, definitely. And then you've got the Butch tries to continue his spree, but now in the body of a teenage girl, so he has to make adjustments for that. I mean, I think great casting, because you have to have it literally just perfect. Just having Catherine Newton and Vince Vaughn. Vince Vaughn is literally a whole foot taller than Catherine Newton, so you can get like more opposites. But again, it's just great performance both ways this time. I mean, I know, as we said, Lindsay Lohan, she's good at some things, but like Jamie Lee Curtis is the performance highlight of Freaky Friday. But I think this is pretty even between them. I think they both do some really interesting things with the adapting their kind of character's physicality, in response to who's actually inhabiting their body at the time.
And I will say, though, it is quite funny, because obviously we had Jamie Lee Curtis in Freaky Friday as the original kind of Scream Queen. I think Catherine Newton is becoming one of the Scream Queens. She's in, unfortunately, very early on in Paranormal Activity 4, but then has been in Freaky. She did a double header last year of Lisa Frankenstein and Abigail. She's coming into Ready or Not 2, Here I Come.
She was in she was in that. Oh, never mind. That was Abigail. She's also in Supernatural as Cass's daughter.
Yeah, also in Pokemon Detective Pikachu somehow, Lady
Yeah,
Bird,
well,
Freaking
which I think was the first thing I saw in Detective Pikachu. I thought, oh, who's this? You're interesting.
and Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, but we ignore the fact that exists.
I forgot
she
that.
is she is probably the best thing out of that. But she's blameless for that particular project. I'd say.
She's
Another
so good in Abigail, just saying.
another conflation with
Yeah.
Happy Death Day. I thought she was the girl in that, but it's a different blonde girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing is, yeah. Go ahead.
I mean, go back to like her kind of turn it in Abigail. She was responsible for probably one of the biggest laughs I had last year for a particular line delivery, and it's just when they work out what kills vampires, we've got to get some garlic, and she just brings out like a big bag. I found some, and Stevens goes, "Sam, those are effing onions."
So good. Abigail went off the rails in the last act because it didn't know when to stop, but it had some laughs in it. Like it's a good time, even if it should have ended about 15 minutes earlier than it did.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. I mean, some of the best scenes in these kind of films. So obviously, it's a typical kind of slash movie to an extent. You got all the usual kind of set pieces you might expect, except obviously your final girl essentially is in an adult man's body and still getting used to kind of the different ways that operates, and the fact that the whole town knows what this serial killer looks like, so they keep running away whenever she appears as him. And then you got this hulking killer trying to basically compensate for being quite petite now and not having the power and the threats he once did. And like the way like these things kind of choreographed are really good, kind of to make the most of that kind of dynamic and those kind of just the general like scene geography and the blocking. I think is really kind of makes the most of that. You have like classic kind of archetypes, for slasher movies and for high school movies, in terms of the other characters, how they fill out the cast, so you got the gay best friends, the black best friends, both come out at one point. You're black, I'm gay, we're so dead.
yeah.
You got the mean girls, pretty stock characters, just bully Millie, before the transformation. You got some interesting jock characters who are basically most of the victims of the final act because they're just so horrible. It's just great, a lot of fun just seeing them die in horrible ways.
And we have to do the regular thing of pretending that for plot reasons a very attractive individual is apparently not attractive.
Oh yeah.
It's just like we get sort of like the typical thing of our lead actress is like a supermodel kind of thing, professional model. It's just like, oh, it's just so ugly. It's like, what?
Yeah, and it's only when the butcher's in her that she gets a makeover,
Almost very. I'm thinking Ginger Snap sort of vibes.
Yeah. Just puts on some makeup and a cool red leather jacket, and starts walking with confidence.
Well, that is interesting. Like, what is it about the serial killer played by Vince Vaughn that he's able to give her fashion sense when he just wears like all black and a hockey mask?
Yeah. I mean, there's a line like when she first sees her old body, inhabited by him, and she says something along the lines of, I can't believe he's in my body, but I quite like what he's done with it. I mean, the best thing about these kind of films, boys swap films, like the two kind of best scenes you get from this kind of plot device is when like a loved one kind of has a really kind of heartfelt outpouring of honest emotion when they think the other person isn't there, but really they're inhabiting this other person who think it's completely different. So her mum, just pouring her heart out to Vince Vaughn with Catherine Newton inside, inhabiting him. It's just like, oh, he's just a nice single man who's come to try on some clothes. He's going to give me some free therapy.
And it's
And I'm
actually
gonna
like
try
you're
and
looking at
date
it as
him.
a serial killer, you know. Yeah, go out for
And
dinner.
again,
You know.
yeah, and again, about Freaky Friday, they're both still not over. Their her dad's the mom's ex, late husband, not been around anymore, and they're just not coping with that, not communicating with each other.
Into the 21st century curse of the traumatic backstory. Tick it off the list.
Yeah. She's got an older sister who's a cop as well, which is again is an easy kind of thing to bring in, later on. I mean, when she doesn't have any idea about the supernatural goings on, and she's trying to just keep these teenagers, these very strangely behaving teenagers, safe. And she's been dragged around and manipulated basically, and locks in her own jail cell at one point by Millie as in the butcher's body. I mean, it never gets less entertaining just watching Vince Vaughn kind of run around like a girl, just
So
do
flapping
kind
his
of
arms.
cheerleading moves to convince. It's like the first couple of scenes with Vince Vaughn kind of as well, Millie waking up as in Vince Vaughn's body, are amazing doing that. And then I always remember the bathroom scene.
Yeah,
because you always see it the other way around, of kind of the male waking up with the female's body and kind of looking them over and that kind of thing. But then you get the scene as like a female having to work out how guys go to the bathroom and just like working out.
And she's going, guys, you gotta come see this.
It's just like, it's so weird. It's like he keeps going. It's like, oh, it's so weird.
The scene where Vince Vaughn as Catherine Newton has to like convince them after a fight that he is her. It's so good. Like I love Vince Vaughn playing a teenage girl. He really does
go around going,
he disappears in a way that I would not have expected through his performance. Like it's great.
It's so it is. I think. Actually, the more I think about it, I think it's probably one of the most underrated performances of the last sort of 10 years or so.
Well, Vince Vaughn always plays like the same Vince Vaughn, like kind of douchey, cynical guy.
I think rom-com Vince Vaughn is one thing. I mean, I think he's good at what he does in those kind of movies, but he's got a lot more different shades to him. I mean, especially in recent years, it's almost like similar things happened with McConaughey. After doing so many rom-coms, they just want to do something different. They just take some big swings. We think of like Dragged Across Concrete, and a few other things from the last few years. He's
people don't like his True Detective season, but I think he's really good in it. Him and Colin Farrell.
Yeah, absolutely. So apparently they have. I mean, again, there's a really good partnership. Christopher Landon and Michael Kennedy, good writer, director, kind of partnership.
Also,
and I think
why Catherine Newton was in this one, right?
Go on.
Guess who wrote Paranormal Activity 4?
Michael Kennedy or Chris Landon?
Christopher Landon, who wrote Paranormal Activity 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4, and the marked ones, and essentially he wrote all of them except the original. So
that's interesting. So on the back of that, I think he wrote this role with her in mind, and she was reluctant to take it at first, apparently. But he kind of just said to her, "You're the only person for this. I can't really visualize the character being played by anyone else." I mean, again, it's a nice kind of way for her to stretch. I mean, she's very versatile. She's been in a lot of different kinds of films, but to bring out that kind of deranged side, kind of really get to be vicious, and just animalistic is really entertaining. I mean, her teacher in this, the absolute sociopath she's got of a teacher she's got, just bullies her and humiliates her, and is just an awful human being. Yeah. And literally, and she goes back as the butcher, for revenge, in his woodshop class, convenient circular saw comes out the desk, it's going to be used, and basically having a big fight, you know, literally just this adult man throwing this teenager around the room and just kicking her while she's
You
on the
are
ground.
going. You're like, I shouldn't do this, but I want both of them to kill the guy. Like,
yeah, literally. It's just, but yeah, of course, the circus sword does get used. So, spectacular fashion.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, you've got in the opening scene, you've got some other teenagers, telling the urban legends, about the butcher, and we know he's already in the house and he's coming after them. So that's like the setup for his, what he can do. And one of the gnarliest kills in recent years is what he does with the wine bottle. I mean, I think it's a similar thing has been done in a couple of other slasher films in the past, but it's probably the most gruesome version of that I've ever seen. It's just ramming a wine bottle down someone's throat and shattering it. It's just horrible.
It is interesting that, like, normally when I'm watching a slasher movie, it's like, oh, what are the kills going to be like? But for this one, because of the body swap, like, that just takes so much priority for me over the like novelty and brutality of kills.
And it's not like a classic slash villain in that he wears a mask, but he doesn't really have like a signature weapon. He just improvises. He just uses whatever's at hand, which obviously leads into kind of how she kind of compensates for now lack of size. He as she just got to change the strategy, be a bit smarter about how they're going to kill people. Then I mean, Chris Landon and Michael Kenzie, they really like play with the genres. Kind of they're self-aware and they know about the usual kind of the tropes and they play with them, but they also make really good versions of those kind of films. Still, their own version. I mean,
the fourth, just looking through Wikipedia, the fourth released film that Christopher Landon wrote or co-wrote was Disturbia from 2007, which was a Rear Window remake. And then Christopher Landon, once he gets to Happy Death Day, I mean, I said and will say again, and maybe I'll do a whole article on this for the Substack, that I think we are in an era of the Landon slasher, where you take a known property and you mix it up, because you look after Happy Death Day. He did Freaky, he did. He was producer on the 2022 My Best Friend's Exorcism, which I do need to watch because I'm a massive Grady Hendrix fan. Then did We Have a Ghost, which is at least interesting. He then did Time Cut. Somehow
produced.
He was producer on Time Cut, but then at the same year again you had Time Cut, Totally Killer, and It's a Wonderful Knife within 12 months of each other, which are all essentially the same principle.
Which I mean, as I did enjoy it for what it was, but my biggest regret still about It's Wonderful Knife is it doesn't live up to having one of the best titles in history.
It's a Wonderful Knife is the best out of the three. Time Cut and Totally Killer, I could not tell you the difference between either of them. And then he's also done producer and writer on Heart Eyes, which came out this year. Did I write the review for that for Substack?
It's just really good.
And Drop, which is more of a thriller but very Hitchcockian. Again, he's done every Winter remake, so it's very of that ilk.
With those two, you could tell he wrote Hard Eyes and tell that he did not write Drop, like, in any way, because I didn't know he directed it, and it seems nothing like the rest of his movies, in terms of like Happy Death Day and Freaky and Hard Eyes.
I will do actually just on Drop. I haven't had an article idea for a while on Drop or something I noticed, but I want to go rewatch it, so maybe I'll put that up at some point on something to do with the graphics. In terms of slasher.
Apparently, Christopher Landon's proposed for years now a crossover movie with Happy Death Day, and he'd call it Freaky Death Day. And my main note of that is just do it. Just do it. Take my money now. Do it.
Well, here's the thing. I wasn't a massive fan of Happy Death Day. I was more of a fan of Happy Death Day 2. The reason why I wasn't a massive fan of the first one is because I didn't like the main character. I just didn't like her. The trouble is when you don't like the main character of a slasher movie, the entire thing kind of falls down.
I think now you've seen Happy Death Day 2, if you go back and rewatch the first one, it kind of retroactively elevates it. I think because you see it as like one story.
It's like I like everything else kind of in principle except the main character Tree in that movie. I like it much better than the second one where they actually spend time with her and like go into her as a character. And it's like, oh, she's not just like really grating now. But yeah, anyway, moving on. Landon's a whole kind of genre thing, which I think people, and I'll argue that kind of you wouldn't have the Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey and stuff, and the Mean One and all that stuff without Christopher Landon kind of playing on these kinds of things. But yeah, Freaky's, yeah, it's just so good and brutal and like having fun with it.
Yeah. I mean, the other best thing about these kind of movies, the other kind of most entertaining scene you can get is a situation like a scene that played like really earnestly and normally in a normal situation, it would be like a dramatic scene. But because the bodies are kind of kind of the wrong way around, it's rendered hilarious. I mean, just the scene in the car, you know, with Vince, with Millie in the butcher's body and her soon to be boyfriends, or like, you know, they're finally missing their feelings for each other, and they have basically a meet cute in the car with this like, middle-aged man and a teenager, and they almost, you know, they almost kiss, but then it's like one line. Maybe we should wait for when my hand's not bigger than your whole face.
So good. Like there's just such a knack in here of just finding the ridiculous in sort of the beautiful and the ridiculous and the beautiful. It's it straddles that line between horror and comedy so well and so nicely. It's just I love this movie. I was watching it again and just going, yeah, I remember why I like this movie.
But Body Swap inherently is so ripe for comedy because it's, well, let's put this fish out of water into a weird situation. So I'm glad you picked one also that isn't comedy, because these two just they really show that it's probably the best mode for this kind of story ultimately. You know, the humor of it, of you know, the people in situations that they would not normally be in.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have much else to say about it. You know, good movie, fun movie. You know, I happily watch this.
You've obviously got the bit right at the end where you have to have your big chase and your final battle and stuff like that, and then they bring in
because you think of course the killer's been taken out of the picture, but now you got to have one final scare, haven't you?
Yeah, and obviously even the bit before that where it's sort of that bit I will argue does not make sense. Because when they're in the previous bodies, Millie gets told, always set your watch back 5 minutes late. So then when you think the time's up, it's not actually there and everything like that. Then right at the end, they think they've missed the deadline to swap back, but the clock is back 5 minutes later. But that's a watch on Vince Vaughn's wrist. So,
so she said it.
So did she wake up early that day and, in all the panic of suddenly being in Vince Vaughn's body as the butcher, go, hang on, let me set my watch back 5 minutes on an Apple Watch as well? I don't even know how you do that on an Apple.
Yeah, you can't do that on a Apple device. Can you?
It's incredibly convenient, but I question the... It's not on Millie's wrist, it's on Vince Vaughn's wrist, which means in the last 12 hours, that's what you've done.
Why does the butcher have an Apple Watch, and where does he charge it? He lives in like a hovel with a homeless man.
Yeah, it's a crackhead.
He probably stole it from somebody's house. He probably stole it from the house of he killed everyone in at the beginning at some point.
Yeah. So Googling, you cannot manually set Apple devices because they sync like to time automatically. So
yeah, they'll connect to the internet, find out what time it is, and automatically sync with that, which is why all your devices change when the clocks change automatically. And you still get in your car, and it's like the one thing that hasn't changed, and have to work out how to change it manually every 6 months and completely forget next time. So like just that bit I will call on.
By the way, that led me to one of my tabs I forgot to mention. The cover of Jamie Lee Curtis's book looks like Richard Dyer's Heavenly Bodies.
Interesting.
Yes, which is a book about stars and star image, so we can bring that back to the power of stars in this kind of story.
Yeah, again, if it was just a normal, like, big guy, it wouldn't have worked. The fact it's Vince Vaughn, doing this
Yeah.
again. You go to this because you want to specifically see Vince Vaughn squealing like a girl through it.
And
Yeah.
like Will Ferrell doesn't have the menace that Vince Vaughn can have. Like trying to think of like other male comedic actors from that age, like Owen Wilson wouldn't work at all.
No. You need a big guy to go "Wah!" for most of the movie. Like that's how this works. It just there are only like you'd want to see it with somebody for a laugh like Schwarzenegger just to see what would happen.
Oh,
Yeah. No, I mean, it was a similar thing with Jumanji, wasn't it? Having Dwayne Johnson playing a dweeb, in like a superhuman's kind of body,
and the jock is Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, do remember that Vince Vaughn had already played a serial killer very badly because he's kind of stepped into the body of Anthony Perkins in the remake of Psycho.
In the pointless shot-for-shot Psycho remake, yeah.
Yeah, so he's already kind of... Yeah, he's playing Norman Bates.
Wow, that's hilarious.
Yeah, so he's already kind of body swapped with Anthony Perkins because he's doing exactly the same thing, stepped into a dead man's soul for that, which is kind of much derided.
And I'm always convinced that his character in Dodgeball was really a serial killer. It's like he was too nice, just let's be something up with him.
Yeah. Go watch Freaky. Freaky is amazing, and it didn't get the love it deserved because it came out in 2020. We all know what happened in 2020, aka nothing much.
But saying that, it was a really successful mostly digital release. It actually
3 times its budget.
Yeah.
And
I think people were just that desperate for entertainment, weren't they? It's like everyone watched that. Basically, people were just starved of like horror films for 2 years.
And it didn't cost that much to make, obviously, because it's a Blumhouse movie. So if Blumhouse do a horror movie over $10 million, everyone wonders if they're okay and needs to send an ambulance around for Jason Blum.
Getting this under $10 million like that's amazing. Most of the money must have gone to Vince Vaughn.
Yeah. But I mean, you don't need that much. I mean, aside from your big a couple of big stunts, a lot of it is just straight performances. Aside from your choreographed sequences, a lot of it is shot in the day. Not all of it, but a good at least half. 60% of it is shot in the day, so you don't need to do overtime for that. Some of the big kind of night sequences are inside, so you can shoot that during the day and you black out the window, so you don't need to do overtime on that.
I wonder if they reuse some of like maybe the Happy Death Day school sets and just like redesign them or something.
This is a good point. We'll obviously need to go rewatch Happy Death Day and confirm if it's the same.
I mean, what's cheaper? Do you think actually building a school from scratch for your film, or hiring?
I mean, by now I'm surprised. I want to know Blumhouse have got their own lot because like the amount of like teen horror movies they do, I'm surprised they don't just have like their own personal high school.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, I'm surprised people like Warner Brothers and Paramount with all their stuff haven't just got a random basic American high school set up and will just dress it slightly differently for each thing. We don't have to go find a high school.
Yeah, we probably need to bring back some things from the studio era. Deservedly died, but maybe we need to bring back the backlot with just like a different, just jumble of scenery pieces, different genres. That anyone can use.
When you just see the plain number, like when I think of Blumhouse, I think of like 15 to 20 million. So I mean, this is like Roger Corman level efficiency for a studio release in this age.
Normally Blumhouse, I say 10 mil. But then you do get the odd thing because Black Phone 2 was Blumhouse, isn't it? And the budget will be sort of around 30 mil.
Yeah.
That's expensive for Blumhouse.
Yeah, it has a couple of great posters as well. The marketing was really good. The classic poster that everyone sees is Millie as the butcher shaving with a knife.
Which why would he be shaving though? That
I know, but it kind of gets across what they go for. There was another one like big landscape poster with like them both just standing side by side, but making the most of their vast height differences. But Catherine Newton's got a chainsaw, and Vince Vaughn's just standing there looking really awkward.
And they've gone and looking at, I think the one that you're looking at, on Catherine Newton's side, above her, they've got named Vince Vaughn. And next to Vince Vaughn, they've got Catherine Newton as the names to swap those around, which is a really nice touch.
I mean, that's one of the most annoying like marketing conventions, isn't it? When they don't put the actor's name above the right character, the poster, it's all jumbled up. So I'm convinced whenever that happens, they're all secretly body swap movies, and which didn't realise.
This is it. Conspiracy confirmed. Dropping that lore on you. Yeah.
All right.
Even if you're not a horror movie person, go check out Freaky, because it's a comedy with some horror bits in. Like
it's a really good teen high school movie. It's just a laugh, it's a romp,
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
shall we go on to something more profound and beautiful?
Yeah,
a bit more serious.
AKA one of the most gorgeous looking movies I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
That's the thing about anime is like Disney's like animation has lost so much expressive power. You kind of have to go to Japan to watch something that looks this good.
I mean, on the back of this, if you haven't seen it already, you really need to watch this director's follow-up film, which was Weathering with You.
Like, here's the thing:
the detail on the water effects and the animation on the water is stunning, absolutely stunning.
I watched this and I'm like, I need to watch the next two, but I didn't get time to this weekend. And now I'm into December. I'm saving them because December is going to be my Christmas movies, and the only other film I'm watching is anything that's come out this year. So that when we get to our roundup,
I only just realised I never did get to the third one, Suzumi. So I've also got on my list to watch.
So those will be some of my first films in January to get around to seeing.
I did read that they're a loosely connected disaster trilogy, but not.
They're a thematic trilogy, aren't they, rather than a plot.
From at least the posters, a very gorgeous looking trilogy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how do we describe your name? How do we describe the plot? So you've got
teenage boy, teenage girl, randomly swap bodies because of magic comets.
Magic comet is about right. Yeah, and obviously the kind of comet thing has been around for a while. I think of Day of the Triffids. I also think of H.G. Wells and the Days of the Comet, where essentially a comet hits the Earth and everyone wakes up and is suddenly a socialist. Genuinely, that's the plot.
And you think like in medieval times as well. Whenever you saw a comet pass over, it was usually a sign of things to come, wasn't it?
It was an omen,
big, an omen,
Yeah, so you've got Taki Tachibana, who is living in Tokyo with a single father, having to put up through school life, misses classes quite a bit, that sort of thing. Bit of a delinquent, works at a restaurant, kind of in the evenings, and you've got Mitsuha Miyamizu, even there. I can't get my single syllables around my tongue correctly. Who's sort of like she's the mayor's daughter, isn't she? In the small town. Is it Iwatomi? I believe.
It's out in the sticks, isn't it? It's like a very traditional rural
up on a hill
village.
somewhere, sort of thing. Iwatomi. I did take notes of this one. I just got to be able to read my own handwriting now. Up on a hill, mayor's daughter, kind of almost like a shrine maiden priestess as well, sort of thing. Very much uphold the ritual. All she wants to do
a role. She's got a role in the local folk traditions, much to the chagrin of like the cool girls at school.
Yeah. All she wants to do is get out there, and she's like, "Oh, please, in the next life, reincarnate me as a hot guy in Tokyo." Guess what happens? She talks to the hot guy in Tokyo. And it turns out that they're kind of swapping every other day. So eventually they're kind of keeping notes, and they're like, okay, we've worked out this is what's going to happen, because they've kind of almost Memento style left themselves notes because they can't remember what happened to each other. Obviously, that's
it's amazing how long it actually takes them to work out. Actually, we can just give each other our phone numbers and this make this a lot easier.
Yeah. and they have to inform each other. Strangely enough, only now I'm thinking there's a plot device in the early books of the Skullduggery Pleasant YA series where with a lot of YA, obviously fantasy YA going after sort of Harry Potter and stuff with Percy Jackson and all those kinds of things. Normal kids would be in high school, so how do you get around that? So Darren Shan had faking Darren's death in Skullduggery Pleasant. What they do is they use magic to create a mirror image duplicate. And the main character Valkyrie goes off and does her magic stuff. That one goes to high school, and at the end of the day, they kind of get all the information back, kind of thing. So in this case, they do like a memento sort of writing everything down, and then kind of giving each other notes on their phone diaries, sort of keeping each other updated like that. And that goes on for a while, and then suddenly out of nowhere, there's kind of the day of the comment, and after that, they never switch bodies again.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere, and then kind of the rest of it is sort of finding out why that happened and meeting and trying to meet up. It gets very profound.
Are we going to talk about the twist halfway through?
We can't really talk about this without spoiling it. So
okay.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry.
So if you don't want to hear spoilers, what we'll say is that I rate this 10 out of 10. Please go watch it.
Yeah.
Anyway, getting on to spoilers. So there's also a time slip happening.
Yes.
Out of nowhere. And
it's Happy Death Day and Freaky.
When that happened, I always remember Luke, who's one of my PhD supervisors at the moment, saying that most ghost stories are also time slip stories as well. Going back to sort of old stuff like Dickens, so The Signalman, for example, is a time slip story. Wilkie Collins, who I mentioned last week, the detective stories, who used to write for Dickens in some of his sort of Christmas ghost story stuff, did a story called I've got it downstairs, I'll remember it at some point, like The Dream Woman or something like that, where there is a dream and then it occurs in real life and it's from the future and the past and all that kind of thing. So this kind of thing is kind of well known, and that kind of brings it almost into a kind of ghostliness territory, a kind of a possession kind of element sort of thing of going back and forward in time. And then it's sort of, it turns out that this comet landing, Mitsuha was killed when the comet hit, and so it's sort of a lot of going back in time and trying to swap again and telling
that had been 3 years in the past that she had died.
And then so that's going back in time. So then he goes and kind of goes to the place where he died and asks for one last moment. And then kind of they meet on this gorgeous little moment. It is so good. Even Jacob's like, yeah, it's peak right here. It is peak anime. You've got this big kind of outside crater, and in the half light at kind of sunset, literally the twilight zone. And this beautiful strand of sunlight splitting the two, almost parasite.
I mean, they talk early in the film about golden hour / magic hour, don't they?
Yeah, literally the twilight zone. And in that moment, they kind of meet up, kind of two things, and they're on two different in time zones. And it's like, this is going to happen, but they can't remember each other's name because of all the stuff's going on. How they can't, I don't know. You would have thought the first thing to do is put down the name. But, you know, things get lost in time slips
phone
and stuff
notes
like that.
Start disappearing.
Yeah, and so they go on a bit, and so there's weird stuff like that. But you'd have thought
Back to the Future.
You'd have thought, though, if with swapping bodies so much, like, this is an important thing to remember. This goes on for a good, at least couple of weeks, if not month. You'd have thought the name is there. But anyway, it's kind of, I think it's meant to be sort of that things get lost in memory and time and things like that, and it's an important thing of remembering. Obviously, I think memory in these kind of things is very much an aspect. So obviously Miyazaki plays on it sort of in Spirited Away, right at the end, and a little bit in Howl's Moving Castle as well, the kind of returning and stuff like that, and memory and identity and stuff like that.
Funnily enough, Howl's Moving Castle also has a falling star, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
For me in this movie, the most like beautiful visual part is the whole memory sequence where he lives through her life from like birth, and there's like this I don't know what to call it, some kind of like halo effect or something that just my god, it's so pretty.
It is so good, but yeah, sort of goes back and then sort of through this goes, today this is going to hit, it's going to take you out, get everybody
Yeah,
out, and therefore changes the
yeah,
past, and then right at the
yeah,
end, you think it's all gone.
yeah,
I am on the fence about whether they should have met up again. They're going to have to, but I
yeah.
also think it would have been just as powerful to have this thing and just like the memory of
I
it,
I
but
I
never meet
I think it
again.
would. I think it would have been too devastating if they hadn't. Really, I think you got to leave it just a little bit of hope, right at the end, a
Yeah.
little bit of a bittersweet note.
Because it
Yeah.
it really was, because I had never seen this. It was
I did.
devastating when it's like, oh,
Yeah,
she's been dead this whole time, and
Yeah, and
yeah,
like body swapping as a ghost and not realize the time
yeah.
difference and
And to build up to that as well, from where it starts, where it's literally the classic body swap, like, oh, I've got boobs now. So
yeah. I would like to point
they
out
go
that
around a bit.
thankfully she does the alternative and goes down between
Yeah,
his legs as well and goes,
yeah.
"What the
It's
hell
just
is this?"
there's something there.
Yeah, it's just like at least they went both
Yeah,
ways, and
they
people will
did.
go,
Yeah,
"That's just weird." I'm sorry if you woke up in the other kind of biological
yeah,
sex's body.
yeah,
It is gonna happen. Like this is
yeah,
what you do. You're gonna go.
yeah,
This is weird. I
th-
like we
Li-
have parts of anatomy that we don't usually have. Like
Lindsay
yeah.
Lohan did not grab her old woman butt. I guess that's the
here's the
only
thing.
one missing.
I read and I've got this up. So I found an article by Lenise Prater and Evie Kendall from 10th of September 2023. Accepted, received, and then published online in 2024 in Australian Feminist Studies. Called Rape by Depiction in Popular Culture, the Hidden Harm in Body Swap Narratives, and essentially presents that one could argue that in Freaky Friday, and I should have brought this up with the Freaky Friday, but I forgot it existed, the whole thing of going sort of this isn't mine, is touching somebody up without consent and therefore could be seen as sexual assault. I'm going,
Okay.
if you want to do like that, I think you're probably going to see something along those lines in pretty much anything. I would argue this is somebody figuring out something which is impossible to have happened. Therefore, examining the body that they're in
Yeah,
is a perfectly legitimate part of re-understanding the identity crisis which is going on. It's not done in a malicious way. If you're going to be looking into stuff, you're going to see that. So the same
I
thing.
didn't read the article, but I feel like there would have to be some sort of gratification aspect to it, where you're,
Yeah.
not
They
just
do,
like, huh.
I read sort of half of it, and they do go on to say this isn't the worst one. There's a bit in.
So they use a bad example as their.
Well, no, they use multiple depictions of it.
yeah,
Admittedly, again, I apologize if the authors read this. I had time
yeah,
to skim the first
yeah,
half, essentially, because I was looking
yeah,
for the bit that said
yeah.
Freaky Friday. But they
Well, literally,
discuss.
in their tender moments on the crater, she was just, "How many times did you touch my boobs?"
Yeah, and at no point does he turn around and goes, "You probably like you've been with me for a
Yeah,
whole day. You had to pee. You touched my kind of anatomy
yeah,
as well. This is
yeah,
not brought up."
yeah,
Now, admittedly,
The
to be
little
fair
sister
to
being like, "You're touching your boobs again."
again, yeah. To be fair to the writers of that article, they do bring up things like there's an episode of Buffy where they swap bodies as well,
yeah, yeah,
and the body swap there is intimate relations with another character,
yeah,
and therefore it theoretically is assault because it is
yeah.
somebody
It's
having
non-consensual.
relations with somebody who thought it was somebody else. Therefore it is a
Yeah,
kind of deception, and this is not brought
yeah,
up.
yeah,
That I can kind of see is dodgy
mm,
when you think about it like that. The kind of body swap and going, oh my gosh, what's going on,
yeah,
that I would argue is a attempt to kind of readjust
Grounding.
to a bodily identity rather than
yeah,
taking advantage. Probably there's a bit on the guy of going, a guy going, oh my gosh, like, you know,
yeah,
A
what we're gonna
teenage
do.
boy.
Exactly,
yeah,
um,
yeah,
and they do kind of bring up again that's kind of a little bit of depends which, if you're going to see it badly, you're always going to see it badly. If you're going to see it as a comedic moment, you're always going to see it as
yeah,
a comedic moment. But it's just like you do have an amazing sort of 20-30 minutes in a swapping back and forth, almost a montage for 10 minutes where there are some great comedic moments.
Yeah,
So
and just the balance of the tones, start from that kind of broad comedy, in the first half, and then you have that switch, and then it's just like, oh my god, it's just like that. It's like operatic from then onwards, like really dealing with some really like weighty themes in really interesting ways.
I will say for the way that this one is shot, like the first shot of the down blouse where you can see like a lot of cleavage, that is a bit weird. But like that's far from the worst anime I've ever seen of sexualizing a teen. So
and like a few scenes later, he equally wakes up in very scantily clad, draped across his bed. It's like could be argued that he's been objectified as well, just as she was. But I think opening with that, it kind of it makes it, oh, what kind of film is this going to be? But they soon,
because like Jamie Lee Curtis grabbing Lindsay Lohan, as it's not sexualized because it's a kids movie. There's clothes and everything, and I will say it's shot differently here for sure.
I
Drawn.
was going to say, that's the thing. It's so good. We have to go, no, people actually drew this. And the blend of 2D and 3D is like possibly the best I've ever seen. I mean, it started coming in sort of the mid 2000s. I really noticed it sort of, well, you get bits of it in early 2000s, like Spirited Away or experimenting with it in various things. Mid 2000s, late 2000s, it starts to come on quite a bit. By the time it gets to 2016, they've got it down here. The blending is so nice. It's so good. It's like if you're going for genuinely, if you watch this for nothing else other than the visuals alone, it is one of the most gorgeous things I've ever seen in my life. It is beautiful.
Yeah. If you like this, you want to see something kind of different but fairly similar thematic in a lot of ways, I'd also recommend from a few years before this, you had The Girl Who Leapt Through Time, which again is like a high school story with like a sci-fi kind of twist. But it's again very similar, kind of quite broad comedy to start with, but it gets a lot darker in the second half when it basically becomes about her trying to stop a disaster, basically, and a bit like sort of like Time Traveler's Wife, just how many times she jumps and she's running literally out of opportunities to manipulate time. No matter how many times she goes through, she can't stop this like train crash, basically. So it's really.
I seem to remember on the vague time that I watched it at somebody's house at like 1 o'clock in the morning. Somehow we put it on. Wolf Children, Ame and Yuki is very nice looking as well. That's like recent anime is just like the films are just going, you know what, we have to compete with Miyazaki. We've got to pull out all the stops at this point. Let's just go for it. But my favorite scene in this whole thing is again on the top of the crater where they're meeting up, and you've got that sunbeams just between them, and just before you think they're about to go, it's literally is a snap frame. There's no kind of white out. It's literally just clatter, and it's just so abrupt that the whole thing just
My favorite bit of animation. My favorite bit of animation in this is as the camera is kind of goes really close and kind of just passes over the threads, the coloured woven threads, basically, and just how it's kind of tied together, and just how the colours blend together. Just you can literally see. Again, this has been, I mean, whether it's on computer or not, it's been drawn. These individual threads of this fabric, and just recreating that in the animated world is really
one of the most interesting things about the animation on this, and bearing in mind, I very much in my high school years was an anime nerd, and having essentially, as I was saying to the guys before we started at school, I'm essentially convincing the student that I'm working with in high school to get to lessons and complete work, because he's also an anime nerd, and I'm going, look, every time you complete bits of work, I will watch more of the anime, because it's like, I can do that. Don't bother me in the slightest, According to my anime list of the stuff I've logged, and this does not include a single episode of Pokemon, I've watched over 62 days worth of anime. I've watched enough. All 366 episodes of Bleach, like Yu-Gi-Oh, like the first like 600 odd episodes, the lot.
One
One of the things I'd never seen before in this is when the sunlight comes through the trees and hits them. They don't make highlights on the characters themselves. So when the characters move, the spots of sunlight stay where they are. I've never seen that. And I went, that's weird. And then I just saw what they're doing. I'm going, I've never seen this before in my life. That is a detail that I've never seen anybody do. And there's just bits when the main guy is Taki, isn't it? He goes to kind of the cave shrine place to investigate, because this is the last place where Mitsuya was. And he brings the torchlight around. There's like some rocky pebbles on the ground, and they've animated the shadows moving on those. Just the level of just detail is insane. Oh, I can't get enough of it. It's so good.
We talked about with Freaky Friday, like the appropriation of not even like Chinese anything, just it being vaguely Chinese-ish magic that flips them, and here incorporating like actual rural tradition. I'd be interested to see it, instead of using, you said, the white fortune teller, why not incorporate like something unique to American culture, like our obsession with media or social, like something.
That's why I said it'll be an app.
An app. Like this actually goes to tradition, and the grandma being like, oh yeah, I actually had dreams, body swap stuff like this when I was younger.
And the whole folk tradition and folklore about what woven threads, and just how it's tying that to the passage of time and everything like that. It's just I think that's really adds like a richness to it, and like an authenticity. And we mentioned obviously her kind of participating in all these folk ceremonies, and making sake, the traditional way, literally chewing up rice and spitting it out. With like, it's just how it was always, always done back in the day. But it all just adds to the kind of, it makes it feel more genuine and kind of grounded in the real world, even though it's like a fantastical concept. It's kind of the important things have one foot in reality. The emotions are real. The world around all these magical happenings is real, and the people are. So it's really good. Kind of, it's just real well balanced, I think.
And it's just the small kind of doubling moments. So when he first tries to ring her. Obviously, it won't go through because she's been dead for 3 years. Although doesn't realize it yet. Tries to ring her on a train bridge, and then 3 years prior, she was trying to ring him, but it didn't go through. And it's in the same spot where he will eventually ring. And I think they go back there at some point as well. They have a crossover, so they finally recognize each other on a train, and so you have this liminality thing. But before that, it's also on a bridge as well, where they kind of walk past each other, and you have these kind of liminal spaces. Ooh, let's go first year film studies on this liminality kind of places. And it's just the little touches that make this come alive in a body swap film that is very different, because it uses that to set it up, and then by sort of 30-40 minutes in, there is no more body swapping, and it's how this has changed to live as somebody else and to have that connection to somebody, which then leads everything on in a gloriously gorgeous film. I can't get enough of how good this movie looks.
We didn't talk much about the fun part, but what stands out to me in that is when Taki works at a restaurant, he has this girl he likes, and she's like, "Oh, you're really showing your feminine side today," and I think it's the best use of people noticing that you aren't yourself. Because it to her, it speaks to something about his actual character, not like, well, you're not being you. It's the idea that there is something else to this person, and not just that you're acting weird. That's
I kept trying to work out if the age gap between them. It's like, so I think she must be a little bit older, isn't she? If I can, because obviously,
I guess it would be about 3 years.
Yeah, it just obviously there's a level of seniority in the restaurant, obviously, because she's a senior to him at work, so he always calls her
him and the girlfriend. Sorry. Yeah, I agree
Yeah.
with you.
Yeah. And there's interesting things. I haven't done the full research.
I thought
but,
she was a teacher at first.
I'm just looking up very quickly because I hadn't done my full thing. But obviously the comet initially being called Tiamat, Tiamat being very quickly
A dragon in Dungeons and Dragons.
in Mesopotamian religion, the primordial sea mating, blah, blah, what on high, all this kind of thing. So it is an ancient god, but then gets called Shoemaker Levy 9, and Eugene Shoemaker was he discovered it was named after a geologist, an astronomer, which hit Jupiter in 1994, and we got it televised. So it's kind of, again, even just the names kind of linking in. Which makes it interesting, actually, because that's weird because now I'm just seeing that comet hit Jupiter in 1994. So is there a bit that's broken off? Is this the same comet? They've called it the same one.
I do know that they said it was part of the comet that broke off that hit her village and like became a meteor. So I don't know if they're supposed to be the same, but the comet in the movie, like not the whole thing, hits the Earth.
I don't. Yeah, I don't know if it's just because they call it Time Out several times, and they switched to Shoemaker Levy 9 once. And admittedly, I only recognised the name because Nightwish have got a song after Shoemaker called Shoemaker. That's how I knew it's to do with space. But it's just like, is that meant to be like a time slip again, or the comet has changed in order to do this? But
So I've just found so apparently there's an age gap of 7 years between them. By the way,
Okay.
Between him and his boss, who he sort of has a thing with. So she'll be 20, 24, and he'll be 17. Okay.
It's a real
I thought you
Anakin
meant between
and Padme situation.
No. But both the leads are 17. But him and Miss.
Now, when are they 17?
Well, I think they're 17, 3 years apart. But with him and the love interest, it confused me for a minute why she was so much older than him, because she definitely seemed older.
Yeah.
But it's being set up, and it's just with the sewing of being a very specific kind of patterning, very quickly done. Obviously known from skills of kind of the shrine maiden and stuff like that. It's just. I went to this going, oh yeah, this was a film that I needed to watch at some point. I knew of it, and I came out going, I love everything about this movie. Like, oh, it's so good. It hits in the feels. It's devastating at times. It's got an air of mystery. It's got its air of comedy. It's so well balanced. It looks amazing. Sounds incredible. You know, you can go back to it, and I'm fairly sure I'll probably end up writing something about how hauntology goes for it. Is this actually spiritual possession and stuff like that? You can get so much on this movie. It's so good.
Darius Ghost says this movie's great.
There we go. We have other people agreeing with us. Thank you for that.
We also this movie has a like full anime like music opening, which I thought was funny.
Well, here's the thing, right? Apparently this is anime style, but other movies are allowed like title sequences, and that's not an anime style. Like, you know, you never go to a Bond movie and go like, oh, it's just like an anime having to have its title sequence.
I think it's the extended song with characters turning towards the camera as they're introduced in the credits.
Like
definitely not.
Yeah, but Bond's title sequence feels like a movie title sequence, and this one feels like a TV show's title sequence. But I mean, not that there's anything wrong with it, but it did feel more like that.
Yeah. And as I say, Weathering with you, the follow up to this is well worth a look as well, as I'm sure Suzumi is, which I hope to see soon. So he's a good anime director.
I'm just looking at the various awards it won. Nominated at Satellite for Best Animated or Mixed Media. Various kind of Japan prize awards. Nominated for San Francisco Film Critics Circle Awards 2017. won in 2018 for second Crunchyroll Anime Awards. I did see that it won Best Animated Feature in 2016 at Sitges, and got nommed for Best Film overall at BFI London Film Festival in 2016. I'm surprised it didn't get nommed for animated feature for Oscars.
No, that's true. Yeah.
But you know, it's an anime film, and we don't like anime films unless they are.
Unless it's Miyazaki.
Yeah, I wonder, did Suzume get nommed?
I believe it did. Yeah. A couple of years
Although
ago.
to the success of this, Your Name was the highest grossing Japanese film of all time, with a worldwide gross of $400 million after release, breaking numerous box office records and dethroning Spirited Away. Like, this thing did a number, like, ridiculous. Let me just quickly look.
Animated feature for the 2017 Academy Awards, which was for the 2016 year. Zootopia won. Kubo and the Two Strings, Moana, My Life as a Zucchini, and The Red Turtle were the nominations. And, like, Zootopia over this? Like, are you serious?
Yeah, but animated films are still seen as kids' films, so, yeah. Let me just check. Suzume did not get an Academy Award nom.
Like, I wouldn't have even bothered putting Zootopia in the nominations that year. Like, it's a fun movie, but it's entirely unremarkable as an animated film to me. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, for the animated film. Although Zootopia 2, if you've seen the numbers, it's like the 4th highest grossing like opening weekend of all time.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. It's a kids movie.
behind 2 Avengers and Spider-Man, it is doing a number at the box office for that. But
it's going to be Inside Out 2 all over again, I think, isn't it? It's going to be a late kind of surge right at the end of the year, I think.
I think Moana is actually interesting visually, and then it also has the cultural aspects to it. But yeah, Zootopia it is unremarkable for me as an animated film.
With Zootopia, it depends on whether you go for, is it just an anthropomorphic animal story about racism?
Yeah, but therefore it's got the racism aspect, and we know the Oscars. It's like, oh, you talk about race, and you're halfway guaranteed to get the award. You know, it's just how it works.
This was the year after Oscars So White, so maybe they were like, well, we'll use animals to show we're woke.
Yeah, Oscars So White. Will we give awards to anybody that's not kind of American or kind of English language? No. I mean, Red Turtle got a nom, so that's it. It's kind of okay. Yeah, no, Zootopia 2, as of like this morning, and bearing in mind it started Thursday, something like that. It's been out like 3 days. It is already the 10th highest grossing of the year.
Wow.
556 million in about 3 days. Like, it's doing a number.
This made me wonder, can you go see betting odds already for the Oscars? And you can. The current top best animated feature odds are we got K-pop Demon Hunters 4-7, Zootopia 2-1. So there you go.
Hilariously enough, the 5th highest grossing movie of the year is the Demon Slayer movie.
Oh.
Looking at Box Office Mojo, but unless something magic happens, I think it's going to be a fairly standard year for animated at the box office.
I have a feeling it's not going to be Nisha too.
Yeah, why? But why Your Name did not get nommed, I have no idea. Probably because nobody saw it.
Yeah, the old people in the Academy didn't watch it. They did watch Zootopia 2 with their grandkids.
Exactly, and it's not. And obviously, they didn't need to watch all the movies anyway, so. This year will be interesting with that, but anyway.
Now I just want to go rewatch La La Land. Is what I'm seeing.
You're just looking through the 2016 Oscars. You go, I want to rewatch all this stuff. Yeah. Your Name is absolutely incredible. It's absolutely amazing. Go watch it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. And if you can't, find somebody who can and swap bodies with them.
Yeah. No, try
Go,
find some.
go back 9 years into the past and go watch it on a big screen somewhere.
Yeah, and find some sort of Eastern magic, that will let you body swap with somebody.
Yeah, and don't get hit by a comet.
Yep. That's it for body swap movies, but we'll be back next week with something else, and on the day that we usually record, probably. And until then, folks, where can people find you?
Am I still you or not?
No, I think we're back to normal now. The
earthquake.
The Chinese lady, gave us permission. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. You can find me at SSP Thinks Film and at the Second Cut Pod Substack. Just today, I published a short film review for a British indie short film that was kindly sent to us for review. It's about to do the festival round, so hopefully it'll be available for wider screening sooner rather than later. It's called Insulate. It's a really interesting little 12-minute drama set in a Manchester suburb. So yeah, it'll be one to look out for when it's available for wider screen, definitely.
Always support the short
and
films.
Yep. And I've nearly finished my Wicked for Good review. Should be up tomorrow, I would think. So just trying to whittle it down a bit. I've probably rambled on a bit, so it needs a bit of condensing first. But yeah, should be up tomorrow.
Hopefully you don't find me anywhere. If you do, I'm KJ's Metal in various places. I don't think I've gotten anything new on there at the moment. I may go see some stuff in the next few days, like the sequel to Sisu is still currently playing, and I very much want to see it because the first Sisu was great fun. It was completely stupid, but it was like very, very well done, finished stupid.
Nice. And you can find me at Jacob Film Guy. Kieran is the anime nerd here, but I will say if you are uncomfortable with sexualizing teenage characters in anime, then don't watch Kill la Kill. As exciting as the fights are, that is a terrible show.
Welcome to anime, guys.
Very uncomfortable. So yeah, go watch other things instead of that. Thank you for listening, and goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.